Hi, and welcome back to the Best Kept Secrets podcast with me, your host, Sharon K Mwangi. Thank you for joining me yet again for another episode. Now that the year is coming to an end, I thought it would be great if we had an episode to just recap on 2022 and, just share my takeaways from 2022, aka my best kept secrets about this year and the things that I have learned as my best kept secrets this year. So I really tried to sum it up to like less than 10 of them, but they are quite a bit. So let's see. Let's begin and see. So I'm going to just read through some of them. One, I wrote that if you look close enough, there's always something to be grateful for. And I think this year what I have learned this year is the importance of gratitude. And I think this year has had a lot of high highs and a lot of low lows. And in those low lows, one of the things that has got me through them is finding things to be grateful for. And I think this is something that I read in Oprah's book. It's called What I Know For Sure. And there's a whole chapter on gratitude. And she was saying how when you're grateful for the tiny little things, then it changes everything, really. And I've shared this in one of the episodes that we have shot before. And I was saying how when I was going through a really tough time, I started trying to practice this attitude of gratitude. And so I would say things like, thank you, God, for the sun. Thank you for this hot shower. Because there was a time I didn't have a hot shower. My heater wasn't working. And then there was a time where it was raining a lot and there was no sun. And then finally we got like glimpses of the sun. And I'd be like, thank you for the sun. Thank you for this hot shower. Thank you for this meal. Thank you. When you look closely enough, there's always things to be grateful for. I know when things look tough, that everything looks tough, everything is just dreadful, everything is just yuck. But when you find things to be grateful for, it really, really does change your mindset. It really does add a little dopamine in your system when you really, really need it. So that's one of my best kept secrets of this year, is that there's always something to be grateful for if you look closely enough. Number 2, I have learned that understanding seasons helps you navigate through life better. And, I think sometimes you can get really frustrated during the course of the year when you see other people like achieving things or doing things or hitting milestones, and you feel like you're not doing the same things. Like when someone opens a business or gets a baby or gets married or graduates from school, you can feel frustrated. You can feel like my life sucks. So I think when I started looking at it, like everything happens in a season, everything there's a season for everything, really. And maybe it's not your season for the baby yet, maybe it's not your season to graduate yet, maybe it's not your season for your business yet, maybe it's not your season for your new job yet, but it's someone else's season, and you should applaud them when their season is happening, as you wait for your own season to come around. And I think this personally in my life, the last 2 years, a lot of my friends have gotten married and gotten babies or gotten engaged, or, have made significant steps with their significant others. And me, I'm just single. You know what I mean? So I got to a point during the course of the year that I got really frustrated, and I was just like, wow, God, okay, what's up, bro? Like what's happening? Like, what's the plan? What are we doing? And I just was like, you know what? It's just not my season yet, and that's fine. Like, beforehand, I was in my season for starting my business, and I started it and it's thriving. And then it was my season of now this podcast, starting something new, and it's here, and we're doing as well as we're doing, right? So it's just not your season yet, and that's fine. So understanding the season that you're in will help you navigate your time and your life a lot better. That's my best kept secret, number 2. Number 3 is something that has been so monumental in my life this year, and it's the posture of how you wait changes how you wait. And I've done a whole video on my Instagram. Again, if you don't follow me, shameless plug, my Instagram is Sharon K Mwangi. I did a video about that on there, but basically, I don't remember where exactly I learned this concept from, but I realized that when we're waiting for something, how we wait for that thing changes how we are waiting. So if you wait feeling frustrated and grumbling and being upset and doubting God, then you're going to have a miserable time. I can tell you that for sure, because I have done that. And the practical example I can give you is the Israelites in the Bible, who had a very long waiting period between being delivered from Egypt into Canaan. And in that waiting period, they went back to other gods. They did all of these nasty things, because they were just like, you know what, us, we're tired of waiting. We're not seeing this God. When is this promised land? Were we ever going to reach? They just got frustrated, and they grumbled, and they did all of these things because they were tired. Like, the waiting was very frustrating. So you can either choose to wait like that, wait while you're grumbling, or you can choose to rejoice, because you know that God is a promise keeper, and whatever it is you're waiting for is going to happen in his perfect time. So you can choose to wait with that, just that heaviness, and that's just like, I'm so tired of waiting. Can we just like fast forward to the part where I have this thing? Or you can wait as you praise, wait as you rejoice, because this thing is going to happen. Wait as you look back in gratitude for, even before I was in this current season of waiting, I was in another season, and God delivered me through that season. He was with me in that season. So who am I to say that this thing that I'm waiting for is not going to come to me, right? So I have really been trying to practice waiting with a posture of gratitude, waiting with a posture of happiness, waiting with a posture of knowing that this thing is already mine. I just need to be patient and wait for it to come to me. So that's my best kept secret, number 3. Number 4, I have learned, and especially as an overthinker stroke anxious person, I have learned that emotions are not feelings are not facts. And what I have learned is that when I am feeling heavy emotions, I don't need to let those emotions control me. Feelings are meant to be felt, meaning that you allow them to pass through your body, and then you release them. And I think sometimes we hold on to feelings, especially heavy feelings, for so long that they begin to dictate our lives. But even feelings like anger and frustration or joy or happiness are temporary. You're meant to feel the feelings, process the feelings, and then allow them to move through your body, and then you release them and allow them to go. And when you're an overthinker, when you're in that moment of feeling, you can really start coming up with stories in your head. You can start coming up with narratives that don't even exist. So every time I go through those thoughts, I just remind myself, this is a feeling, this is not a fact. I am allowing myself to feel this in this moment, and then I am releasing this once I am done feeling like this. And that has really, really helped me just like navigate and not linger too long in one place and in one feeling. Number 5, I hope we're number 5, I'm not sure. Number 5, one of my other biggest takeaways or best kept secrets of this year is actually something that I learned from my friend. And I was just sharing with her how in the beginning of the year, or like mid-year, I was really, really fighting feelings of loneliness. And I had, come from a relationship at the end of last year. So now I'm navigating this season of, okay, now I'm alone. What do I do when I'm alone? What does it look like being alone? And usually, because I'm an introvert, I'm okay with being alone. But then it gets to a point where I'm now lonely. I'm not alone. I'm lonely, And I was telling her how I have this like horrible habit of, when I'm feeling lonely, I go back to my toxic ways. Like, I distract myself by doing very toxic things. And she was just like, you know what? She said to me, I feel like loneliness is just a nudge that you need human contact, and it doesn't always mean human contact in a romantic sense. So what I started doing is that every time I would feel feelings of loneliness, I would just reach out to my friends and I would just be like, guys, what are you guys doing? Can we hang out? Can we go here? Can we do this? Just because, especially for someone like me who works at home and I'm home all day long, I can spend the entire week in my house cooped up and I don't leave, And she was just like, when you're feeling those feelings of loneliness, take it as a nudge, reach out, extend an initiative to a friend or a loved one, reach out and then spend time with them. And usually it really works, and usually you come back home feeling refreshed and recharged and feeling a bit less lonely. That isn't fully fail proof, because I've been doing it for a year now, and sometimes it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing as actually like having a romantic partner versus spending time with your friends, but it is something, and it does help. So if you ever if you're battling like feelings of loneliness from time to time, just take it as a nudge that you need some human contact, and then usually it does help. Number 6 is something that I read from one of my favorite books of this year, which is Welcome Home. And she was talking about this concept of praxis. And basically, praxis is the middle point of what you know to be true, and you practicing that. And I realized that I have a lot of knowledge, but am I practicing that knowledge? No. I know all of these things that are bad for me or good for me, but am I actually practicing that knowledge? No. Have I reached a point of praxis? No. So praxis is just basically the practice of practicing what you know. And I was just like, you know what? That really changed. Like there was immediate like mind shift, and I was just like, okay, I feel like this applies in any situation. Like, this person is bad for you, you have the knowledge, you're in a trauma bond, all of these things, you don't even know what trauma bonds are, you have the psychology about it, everything. But are you in a point where you're practicing what you know and actually living your life through it? And I was like, no, I know a bunch of things, but I don't have any actions to back up my knowledge. So what I've been trying to do is I keep asking myself, am I in praxis? Am I practicing what I know to be true? Or am I just like, yeah, I know this thing to be true, but I'm not actually practicing it? So definitely, I think definitely do some more research about praxis and how you can practice praxis in your life, and how you can apply all this information and this knowledge you have, especially in this day and age. There's so much information out there, so many books, so many podcasts, so many self-help, so many Instagram pages. We live in a world of information. And you can be this person who reads books, listens to podcasts, watches all of this healthy, positive stuff. But are you actually practicing them? And if you're not, then you're completely wasting your time, because it's one thing to know something, and it's another thing to actually practice what you know. So I would definitely urge you to read more on praxis and see how you can practice praxis in your life. My last best kept secret or stroke takeaway of this year is actually something that I read in the Bible, and something that I've shared in one of the episodes that didn't end up going up because we reshot it. But it's in Ephesians 5:28, and this Ephesians 5 is where they are talking about instructions for marriage, wives and husbands, wives submitting, husbands do this, just the instructions were given about marriage and to wives and husbands. And it says, in the same way, husbands ought to love their wives as they love their own bodies. Body can also just mean yourself. It doesn't mean your physical body. It can just mean body of self. That's how I interpreted it. And this has literally changed how I date moving forward, because I'm still in my dating period, and how I decide which man that I think is worth. One of the things, there are many things, but one of the things that helps me decide if this man is worthwhile or worth my time is that I observe how he loves himself. Because if he's not able to love himself or treat himself well, he's not going to be able to do the same with me. And this is actually something that I also like somehow listened to it on someone that I was listening in, and I just want to read that to you. It says that the pastor was saying that a sense of self-worth is needed for a successful life and marriage. How can I love someone selflessly if I don't love myself? Don't get married to someone that's self-loathing and is not okay being alone by themselves. They have to be able to like themselves and be okay without outside validation. Be good with yourself first. And I realized, especially a lot of men are very self-loathing. A lot of men and women generally don't like themselves. They don't love themselves. They have a lot of self-loathing habits, and you can tell how a person loves themselves by how they treat themselves. Do they keep promises to themselves when they say, "I'm not gonna do this because it doesn't." My body doesn't like it. Do they do that? Do they keep promises to themselves? If they say, I'm going to start waking up earlier because it does this and this, promises you make to yourself actually shows how much self-love you have for yourself. Because if you betray yourself, it means that you don't hold yourself in high regard. You don't value yourself. And that's how I have one of the very important things that I look at when I am dating a man is how he treats himself, how he loves himself. Is he going to be able to love me well if he doesn't love himself? Most cases, no. So that has really helped me change my mindset. And especially if you're in that season as well, where you're dating and you're wondering what are some of your non-negotiables, this is something that I would love for you to consider as well. And that's basically it for this episode. I hope you have enjoyed it. I hope you have learned something new. I would love to hear what are some of your 2022 best kept secrets or your biggest takeaways from this year in the comment section. For those of us who are watching us on YouTube, if you're listening to us, please, you can leave it on our Instagram page, Best Kept Secrets Pod. Let's talk about it. I would honestly love to hear your best kept secrets of this year. And even as we go into a new year, I would charge you to pray before you go into the new season. Ask God what is to give you the blueprint for your next year. What does He want you to do? What is He entrusting you with in the new year? What plans does He have for you? We make plans, and God's plans, I mean, they're the ultimate plans. He has plans to prosper you and give you a hope and a future. So ask him to give you the blueprint. Ask him what he desires from you. Ask him how you can partner with him in the new year. Ask him what season he's taking you into in the new year, what season he's taking you out of as we close this year. And yeah, thank you so much for listening or watching, for those who are watching us. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.